As a New Deal board member, I'm honored and excited to be a part of this forum, and very excited for the launch of the forum's Climate Solutions Report that offers a roadmap of real-world actions that we can scale up to address climate. It is a great pleasure to welcome Governor Jay Inslee to our forum today.
This is a winner in every state in the United States. It is a clear fire winner because in every state of the United States, there are abundant stories by the thousands of people who are taking home a good paycheck because of a clean energy job.
It is a great honor to introduce to you our next speaker, Gina McCarthy, who is serving today as the CEO of the NRDC.
This isn't just about fixing the planet. It's recognizing that climate change isn't the planet, it's us. And in order to raise all ships, you have to have good jobs, you have to have a strong economy, you have to move energy forward using the resources of the federal government to ensure that it's competitive economically so people won't be burdened in their energy bills. And you have to start investing in the environmental justice communities that have been left behind.
The three pillars of the Biden plan that have been so impressive to me. Number one, it's bold and it's big, it's appropriately scaled, it's a shoe that fits the great opportunity we have. It's not just tinkering on the edges. Look, putting $2 trillion on the plate to begin with shows you that Joe Biden understands the scale of what needs to be necessary. Second, he has embraced a strategy of a standards-based tactic for solving this problem. His proposals are not based on what you might think of secondary or tertiary efforts. They go right to the heart by having standards that are legally enforceable. The third pillar that has impressed me, that is so timely, is that he has embedded the idea of racial justice and economic justice in everything he has proposed. Talk about a timely thing to do that has always been necessary, but more necessary in the moment when the country has had an awakening around the need for racial justice. And so this is a magic moment where the country's recognition of the racial injustice that has bedeviled us with an avenue of addressing it through clean energy jobs where he's guaranteed 40% of the infrastructure going into communities of color and poverty. It's a marriage of a magic political moment where the country's ready for ambitious change and a tactic to get there.
I worked for 25 years at the local and state level, and I worked for 6 governors. 5 of them were Republicans, and none of them turned their back on wanting to have clean air and clean water and safe communities. All of them are embracing clean energy. You know why? Because it's cheaper. It doesn't just grow jobs. We are not talking at all about sacrifice here. We are not talking about light bulbs that aren't cheaper and don't work better. We are talking about just new technologies. And what this plan does so well is to recognize that as we're transitioning to clean and efficient energy, we have to bring the workers along. We have to allow them to have access to union jobs. We are not asking them to transfer from a good job to a less good job or a good paying job to one that isn't. This, Vice President Biden is recognizing that this isn't about sacrifice, it's about our future and our kids' future and how we get there together, not apart. And we can bring unions with us. We can bring workers with us. That's the only way, in fact, it's gonna work.
You have to realize every single ton of fossil fuel carbon dioxide pollution we reduce has an added benefit for communities of poverty and color, because when you reduce fossil fuels and carbon dioxide, you reduce particulate emissions that are hurting our young children who are disproportionately affected because they're living next to these plants. Asthma rates are skyrocketing amongst communities of color and our young people. And so when we reduce CO2, we reduce the racial inequality that has bedeviled us from a health impact. The mechanisms are available to use a clean energy jobs program to reduce racial and economic inequality. I'll mention one of them. In our energy efficiency bill in the United States, we have the best energy codes in the country because they require net zero commercial buildings in the near future. But we build this in that when you get infrastructure dollars, you have to have prevailing wage. You have to pay attention to whether people have the ability to have a union. We can use these mechanisms to build a more economically justice while we're building clean energy jobs at the same time.
So we have to do it all. We have to look at expanded health care. We have to look at making it affordable and accessible to everyone. We have to look at making sure that food deserts don't remain, and that people have fair and healthy housing to go to. And I'm suggesting that we can do that.
In this report that the New Deal has just put out, the Climate Solutions Report, they talk about the fact that there's over 160 cities and local communities that have pledged to be zero carbon over the next, decades or two. And what you all have brought to us is such hope and inspiration for what a federal partnership can do to really make this scale in a way that makes such a difference.
I can't frankly think of a better way to start the Democratic National Convention than this really inspiring reminder of what we're going to see when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are elected in November, the kind of different thinking and the real progress we're going to make on climate. So this has just been such a great day, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to thank Microsoft in particular for their partnership on this event and their longstanding support for New Deal. And I want to thank all the speakers who joined us today as well.